All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, in this one, I'm bringing in my buddy DouglieDoWrong, runs a huge Miami Dolphins page because, as we all know, the Jets are going to be playing in Miami, 4 o'clock kickoff, 4:15 kickoff, whatever it is. Doug, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I wish they were playing at 1 and not 4.
Yeah, big time, big time. So, dude, when you look at, I mean, first and foremost, congrats on last week's win because that Dolphins, nobody saw Miami going into San Francisco like that. I mean, let's face it, the 49ers, yeah, they're banged up, but they were in the Super Bowl last year. Nobody expected this Dolphins team with Ryan Fitzpatrick to go in there and just, mop the floor with San Fran. So, congrats on that. But the first question I had for you is regarding Adam Gase, right? Because Gase in New York has been an issue. Every fan pretty much hates him. Every fan wants him gone. And it's the biggest storyline right now regarding this team. And it probably will be until he gets fired. So you know Gase really well. So if you could just tell everybody or, explain your thought process on what you liked, what you didn't like from Gase, and just your overall opinions on him, that would be great.
See, like when Adam Gase started with the Miami Dolphins in 2016, we started off slow. I think the Dolphins started 0-2, maybe even 0-3. Then they started to take off. He changed a few things here and there. It was that Pittsburgh Steelers game where the Dolphins really took off. They had the running game. They got Jay Ajayi going. He had back-to-back 200-yard games. Ryan Tannehill started getting to his groove. He started understanding the offense, started moving. And we clinched a playoff spot before week 17, which is rare for the Dolphins. So we, us as Dolphin fans, we were like, Gase, look, he took us to the playoffs his first year. Things are great. And then the wheels fell off in 2017 with, the hurricane taking away our bye, Tannehill getting injured, him bringing in Jay Cutler for $10 million for that. Like, he just started making stupid decisions when he was pushed up against the wall. Same thing in 2018. So the thing I liked about Gase was, he was at first he seemed like a coach that didn't take people's crap. So like we could bring in certain players that kind of had off the field problems or just attitude problems, and Gase seemed to at first seem like he would kind of be like try to get them to where he was going, but then you found out later on if he didn't like a player, he got him out of there. He did that with Jay Ajayi. He did it with Jarvis Landry. He brought a lot of his guys in. And you guys just saw that with getting rid of Le'Veon Bell. Supposedly he didn't want Le'Veon Bell from jump. The previous GM did, and then they fired that GM after going through a full draft. And it was such a weird situation. So it seems like his biggest thing, because Adam Gase could be a good coach if the man just got out of his own way. He is very stubborn, and he thinks that what he's doing is correct, and eventually it'll work, and he'll say, see, I told you, you should have listened to me, but it never works. Like, I think for one series for the Dolphins, he literally ran back to back to back bubble screens, and it ended up being like a 4th and 24, and we were like, it didn't work the first 2 times. Stop running bubble screens. And it was to the wide receivers, and it was or to a tight end. It was horrible. But you already know what I'm talking about. You had to watch it for 2 seasons.
Dude, every time I hear the words bubble screen or offensive guru, I just want to throw up in my mouth, dude. Honestly. It's been a long couple years, and the thought process with me when the Jets initially hired Gase was, I hate the hire. Number one, I'm going to support him, kind of go through the motions, but I'm just always going to have one foot out of the door. I'm not sold on him. I thought what the Jets were getting when they brought Gase into the building was a dude that knew and understand offensive like schematics, like X's and O's, but no input on defense, no accountability, no leadership, mismanagement of players, game situations I thought was definitely sketchy. And that pretty much all played out, except the offense is dead last in the league. So it's like the one bright spot that we thought we were getting with Gase is not even there. It's actually worse than, guys like Todd Bowles and, former offensive coordinators. But let's talk about Sunday. How do you think your Miami Dolphins squad will fare against this winless Jets team?
Now, I'm incredibly superstitious, so I'm gonna tell you like it is, but it might be a little bit. I might hold it down a little bit because I'm incredibly superstitious. People want to ask me about Jason Sanders, and I won't talk about him. So if you have that lined up, you might as well skip it. But on paper, looking at these 2 teams, it should be a repeat of the Dolphins 49ers game. because it seemed like the 49ers had a better offense than the Jets do now, with, Mostert coming back. They had Kittle. You guys really don't have a running back. Your tight end is that. You got your wide receiver, So it seems like the Dolphins should be dominating on defense in this game. And then offense, getting Parker doing his thing, Preston Williams, even Gesicki, we should be torching you guys through the air. But as a Dolphin fan and being a Dolphin fan for the past 25 years, I know that the Dolphins like to play down to their competition. And I have a fear that this is going to be like a last minute field goal win for the Dolphins. And then I have to hear for the rest of the week that the Dolphins barely beat the Jets. And, then we drop down in these fantasy, power rankings. And so like, I'm going into this game very, very cautious because it should be a blowout, but it probably won't be.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. On paper, you guys definitely have us beat. That's for sure. And yeah, you can always throw in the argument like, oh, it's Gase against his old team and there's some bad blood. But I mean, he's 0-5 on the year. Like, that's not to me a viable reason for Adam Gase to finally wake up and then to, pull a rabbit out of his, hat. As far as the quarterback situation goes in Miami, I know Fitzpatrick, and you probably know this too. He was there last year. He's up, he's down, great games, crappy games, good games, average games. What's your thought process on the whole Fitzpatrick versus Tua? But it feels weird saying that. I want to say Fitzpatrick and Tua because it's not like some weird quarterback competition. It literally seems like mentor and, rookie quarterback just, learning kind of his place.
Yeah, man. And a lot of people are talking about that, and it became a bigger thing once Justin Herbert started and people started seeing how well Justin Herbert played. But it was always this versus thing, right? And Ryan Fitzpatrick has been in this offense with Chan Gailey for 5 years now. So he has played in this offense for a couple of years now, and he knows it. Whereas Tua only got about 2 weeks to try to get this offense down, being that the offseason literally came to about 2 weeks. So when a lot of people look at it, they want to say, like, why isn't Tua starting? Justin Herbert starting, Burrow starting. Why isn't Tua starting? But then you kind of see how Fitz is playing. And I talked about this in one of my videos that even if Justin Herbert was on the Dolphins, he would be sitting behind Fitz, because if you look at the same 4 games that the both of them have played, Ryan Fitzpatrick has a 113 QBR. Justin Herbert has a 107. Fitz has a 74.74 completion percentage. Justin Herbert has a 68.8. So Fitz is doing a little bit better than Justin Herbert. So he is playing well enough to keep his starting position. Once he starts chaining together those Fitz tragic games, that's when all of a sudden you'll probably see Tua.
Right. Yeah. It's weird because, I've always growing up, I was always under the impression that you want to get the young QB out there, the rookie quarterback out there, get him the experience, the snaps, get him playing in the system and get him some tape, some tangible tape that he can look off of in practice. But now after Geno Smith back in 2013-14 was forced to start due to a Mark Sanchez injury, he clearly was not ready to play. At that moment after the season, or kind of midway through the season, immediately that's when like my whole, like I had like a paradigm shift. I'm like, the longer you keep these rookies on the bench, the better it's going to be, right? And of course you can do the cliche like, oh, like look at Aaron Rodgers, he spent it on the bench, and Patrick Mahomes. But I think there's something to be said about a young rookie quarterback having zero pressure year one. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's guaranteed he needs to sit all 16 games. But I do think it's beneficial. And I think the longer Tua sits on the bench, the more comfortable he's going to be, the more practices he's going to, obviously participate in, and the more meetings and, walkthroughs and stuff he's going to go through. So I really like Tua coming out of college. I know he had the injury thing, but when you look at him as just a pure quarterback, pure football player, injuries aside, he was, can't miss prospect. So I think you guys are going to be in good hands, honestly.
Yeah, and as many quarterbacks as you can name that sat, a lot of people will come right back at you and say, well, look at Russell Wilson his rookie year and look at this. Like, we just don't know. And for me, Fitz is playing good. Why not start him? Why not ride the hot hand? And like I said, once he does a few Fitz tragic games, for a fact, Flores going after Le'Veon Bell shows that he wants to win now. He is not in the process of, oh, well, wait, this is another rebuild year. So if Fitz starts to struggle, we'll see Tua out there.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. And hopefully it's not this week, though. Tua, I definitely think he's going to be the real deal eventually. But Doug, dude, it was a blast. Wanted to thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you taking, the time out of your night. I know it's super late. But tell everybody where they can find you. By the way, his link is down below in the description box below. It's DouglieDoWrong. But go ahead, Doug.
If you need to find me anywhere on Twitter, YouTube, anywhere, you can find me at DouglieDoWrong. I made it very easy for people to find me.
That's awesome, dude. And quick little side note, it's actually kind of funny because everybody on the channel knows I'm from South Florida, right? And I'm a diehard Jet fan. But Doug, like, you're actually the opposite. You're in Jersey and you're a diehard Dolphins fan.
Yeah, I'm literally like I'm about 20, 30 minutes away from Jet Stadium. And it's hilarious because I go to the Jet games more than you go to the Jet games.
I know, dude. You've probably been to more Jet games than I have, honestly.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Dolphin Stadium?
Yes, about 8 years ago is when I started once I turned like 19, 20 is when me and my father, every November, we go down to Miami to go to one home game. And the first time going to that stadium, it was a blast. And now with the awning, I love it down there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been going like maybe once, like every time the Jets play down in Miami. Not this year, but every year prior to this one, I've been down there, and like they did a whole bunch of different renovations and whatnot, as you know, and it's hooked up. It's totally sweet now.
Yeah, and that awning, you can sit anywhere now, and you're not in the sun.
Yep, perfect, man. So, Jets fans out there, if you see Doug walking around the streets of New Jersey, just give him a go Jets for me. And dude, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it, and thanks to everybody that watched. Go Jets.